Okay, recording this video after close of trade Tuesday 9th of October 2012. Well, that is more like it. Quite enjoyed that day's trading. About 15 points of range, 1.7 million contracts traded, and this is getting pretty interesting. A little bit of a double top happening. If we look at the trend line chart, this is what's going on. So, a few days ago I was talking about we got this congestion zone kind of going on, so we're going to get a large kind of trend break out of this. We get an initial kind of fake out move up to 1460 here, and now with yesterday's activity, Monday's activity, we're kind of back to the apex and through the apex. So interesting times ahead. We still got this support on the daily chart to come in, but we've lost a little psychological kind of edge here. A lot of confidence would have gone out of the market with that type of a pattern kind of happening. The trend oscillator is, this has been a beauty over the last few weeks. We had this cluster of buy signals that took profits, making new equity highs. We had a beautiful little sell signal into a buy signal into a sell signal. So this thing's been short since, what would that be, Friday. And we've got a little bit of time to run on the trend oscillator, so we're just at positive 33. We're not in the oversold kind of region, so I think this might run a little bit. And so this previous low down here in the 1420s is kind of a critical area. Is that somewhere where they're going to pick it back up, or they're going to let it drop through that? That could be, we've got a double top kind of happening here, and then this bottom is kind of critical to hold. If we drop through that, it could get pretty interesting. In terms of the trend line, so this is better X trend. Another way of looking, this is a trailing stop based on exhaustion volume. So I particularly like this version of the chart where we're looking at the day and the night session, the at ES, and you can see here, trailed the stop up. We had a little bit of a retrace here, and then we kind of moved back into an uptrend. Still in an uptrend, and this thing has not been trailed up very far behind these lows. So on the continuous day and night session, that's what the chart looks like. But on everything else, it's kind of flipped over. So this is just the day session only. You can see we've flipped into a downtrend here. We're below a trailing stop now. If we look at this, the S&P 500, same kind of story. We had this exhaustion move. These were the two kind of, that was the Bernanke announcement. This was the Mario Draghi announcement. We've been playing around with that high, dropped to the bottom of the range of the Bernanke kind of move, and then we're heading towards the Draghi move. So it's kind of flipped over for the S&P 500. Nasdaq's been particularly weak. Hopefully everybody's reading about Apple, because they're a huge. The Nasdaq is hugely overweight in Apple, and all the hedge funds are hugely overweight in Apple. And do I need to remind people of the Nortel story in Canada? Anyway, so we got this thing kind of flipped over. Nasdaq has been particularly weak. That double top doesn't even look like a double top. It looks like a lower high. So this thing has kind of flipped over, and we got pretty nasty down on the Nasdaq yesterday. And then this is the Dow. So the Dow kind of flipped over today with the activity that we had. So although this continuous day and night session, the stop hasn't been kind of trailed up, and I still think we're kind of moving around these highs, kind of trying to make that final pullback to end of trend move, which I'll just show you here. So on the daily chart, this is 45 minute, 135 minute and daily chart. We've got this cyclical support kind of due. Been talking about this for a while. Normally what happens is we get a trend move on the lowest time frame that syncs up with a cycle move on the highest time frame. So with today's activity, we dropped through that support level there, and you can see that's almost like a falling through the ice pattern, blue professional bar, falling through a support level. We've got to make pullback to end of trend on the 45 minute chart, and that will probably sync up with the support area on the daily chart. For me, the question is, are we going to do that the next kind of 10-15 point range, or are we going to drop through that 20 kind of level and go a little bit further? Typically the pullback level happens above the support, the previous resistance that becomes support kind of area around here. But is it going to happen soon, or is it going to is this going to travel a little bit longer? So that's what I'm going to be looking at. And then when we look at the long-term tick bar charts, now this is the 40,500 tick bar chart, the highest tip frame chart that I look at, and that's it's close enough to a 45 minute chart, but it includes the day and the night session. And so this is I was looking at this exhaustion pattern a few days ago that we had. This was an extremely high reading. This was over 100,000 on better momentum here, showing an exhaustion of volume. And I was looking around that level for something that would be show a lack of buying going on, and that that move up to that exhaustion level was really kind of critical, showing at the time I was calling that last roll of the dice, where the professionals were using that exhaustion volume, those blue professional bars, to get last opportunity to kind of get short. Well, we played around with the high of that, we kind of came back into the lows of those blue professional bars and held, and then we had this final move up into the 1460s with a flush pattern, flushing out the last of those buyers there. So that's what's happened. But now we've dropped through this support level, just like the 45-minute chart. So we're through support here. We've got to make pullback to end of trend because we're in a trend move now on the 40,500 tip bar chart. Likewise on the 13,500 tip bar chart with today's activity, we dropped through there, blue professional bar, kind of dropping through support, falling through the ice. We're in a downtrend, so we've got to make pullback to end of trend on these time frames. So that's why I think the the momentum is definitely going to switch to the downside until we get caught on that daily chart. So there we go, a little bit of overview there. Today's activity, well, 1500 tip bar chart, this is the beginning of today's activity. It was a bit choppy to start with. Now, something I always talk about, you have exhaustion patterns. The market likes to see exhaustion patterns during the day. If you get the exhaustion patterns during the overnight session, the market needs the full liquidity of the open market in order to form those bottoms and tops. So coming into Tuesday, Monday we had exhaustion buying, we tested back up with these Rambo patterns overnight, and then into that level, into those highs up there in the 50s, we had all these blue professional bars kind of come in, and then we had quite a steep decline. So because we've not seen that exhaustion selling during the day, I'm expecting that exhaustion pattern to happen. So I'm taking a couple of short trades early on in the day that don't really work out because we're kind of caught in this kind of range area. But as soon as the 4500 tip bar chart, we had a support kind of printed here, as soon as the energy flips around to a resistance line being plotted, all of a sudden that energy that comes out of the 4500 tip bar chart is going short, and that's when we get the break here. So we get some testing, blue professional up bars, we come back to this making lower lows, but all of a sudden we just give way at about 47 here. Market just kind of tanks through here. We had an initial Rambo pattern. I was thinking, I'm not sure this is going to go the full distance, because Rambo patterns on the 1500 tip bar chart for me are very important patterns, but we didn't go through the highs of that, we just continued, and then we had this real nice kind of sell-off move, and so ended up with pullback to end of trend sequence. We'd had our exhaustion selling, bullish divergence flush patterns and so on, and we had a couple of Rambo patterns down here at the bottoms showing us that that was an important level down there in the 30s. So subsequently, kind of overnight, we kind of made it quite a bit lower, down at 31s. So the energy is still to the downside, so it's going to be a question of picking off decent short entry points. So I messed around a little bit at the beginning of the day. I had 3 trades. I was down 1 3/4 points before this kind of trend move happened. I moved my target out to 5 points and got taken out at 42.50, which isn't bad. It was around the pro signal exit, but as usual, there's a lot more in it. Pull back to end of trend, but some days those work out, some days for me they don't. So I was quite happy. Out 3 1/4 points after 4 trades. Anyway, so there we go. I think the energy is going to be a little bit negative for the next few days, so kind of look out for that. So hope your trading went well, and looking forward to the next few days. Just short 750, and we've got support in on the 500. No blue professional bars kind of come in at the slow, and we've got cyclical resistance kind of due on the 4500 tip bar chart. Okay, that was Rambo pattern, so not necessarily the right thing to do. Alright, spiking up. Let's just give it a second. Here we go, just that blue professional down bar. We're falling through the lows of that. Hopefully that will be the first blue bar we've had in a while, so that's professionals kind of selling down. We've got this resistance kind of in due. It could be that we just don't have enough selling on the downside to exhaust this thing, so we need to see some proper selling. So still short 47.50. Here we go, we come through 47s again. So another blue professional bar kind of came in, coming through the lows of that. Below support here. So I need to get through 47s, kind of through those lows again. There we go, Rambo pattern. resistance just come in 45, so that'll give us a little bit more downside energy. There we go. Okay, now so previous lows, there'll be stops to be run. Okay, just moving my target to 42.50, hoping to catch a little bit of a runner here. Just had minus 6,000 Rambo pattern. Got to be careful of Rambo patterns on 1500, they're important. We've got Rambo patterns into support here, exhaustion on 500. So let's just watch. Yeah, just had 10,000 on bottom momentum, 1500 hit bar chart. No blue professional bars yet. We've got these two supports kind of coming on 515. I thought we'd go for a real run. It's like not seen blue professional bars on 500. It's all been Rambo patterns kind of down here. So minus 13,000. So let's do a real collapse. Come on. Turn this thing around, come back down through 45s and just really go for it. Alright, here we go. Should see some fireworks through 45s. Blue professional bar kind of falling through the ice there. No, this is big reading, but we didn't see blue professional bars kind of come in at the lows. We haven't seen them on 45. Got to see bullish divergence before it turns around, so I think this is going to keep going. On turn the longer term charts, yeah, we're actually through supports on the 13,000 and 40,500, so this might have some legs, this might go a bit. First target just got hit 350, just looking for 250s. Blue professional bar starting to come in, but minus 14,000, it's picking up speeds, big move, so probably got to make pullback to end of trend, so just looking for another 3/4 of a point move down. Out at 250. Excellent. That was for 5 on that one, which is good, but I had 1 3/4 of losses. So that's up 3 1/4 after 4 trades. Still quite happy with that. And there we go. Pro single exit comes in. We've got blue professional bars coming in the 45, and big readings down here. It's minus 28,000 on 4,500. Well, it took a while, but finally there. So what is that? 9:50 a.m. Hope you traded well today.